So I'm at Walgreens. I don't know if any of you saw the news. There was like an ingredient in a lot of cold medicine that turned out to be not very effective, and I don't know if it was like new research had come out or just that the old research was found to be kind of bogus. But it's phenylephrine, so it's in like Dayquil but not NyQuil. I think it's a nasal decongestant, but it's apparently not all that effective. So anyway, from being sick a couple weeks ago, I'm like out of cold medicine. I just was getting some to replenish my stores because you never know when you need it. And I was also just random little like thumbtacks and stuff I needed at the pharmacy. But I realized this Walgreens, here on Capitol Highway in Barber, the last time I was in here was on 420, and it was the day before taking Riley into the detox facility that they went to. I don't know if I've talked too much about this. So that was a hard day for sure, because at once it was like kind of beautiful, and like it was a time where they had expressed that they needed help, and they'd basically been on like a binge over the last week and a half of stimulants, and were like on the come down from it, and we're just feeling super crappy, and also had gotten some guidance about a detox facility, and so they actually like tried to get help, and they acknowledged like that they were not in a good place, and it was a really hard day, but I was also really proud of them for just asking for help, and they were always good at that when they wanted it and they needed it. But so I was just like hanging out with them because the next day they were going to go in, but they just like wanted someone to hang out and stay with them to make sure they didn't use any drugs. And so that was, I think, my first like indication that they struggled with like stimulant use. And it's interesting, even they only told me speed and coke. That's kind of what they said. And I mean, that just points to how much like meth is stigmatized, and like saying that they were using meth all the time, it was like a little too far for them. And that's just like the way that stigma affects everyone, but especially even people who have issues, and like people's idea of what a meth user is so far off from like so many people who use meth. But anyway, so we went to Walgreens and got them, I think, some like just clean clothes that they could wear in the detox, and we had some really good talks, and that was like when I was able to express to them like how much it hurts me, how much they're hurting themselves and being risky and dangerous, and that I don't like that. Not that I judge them, and I was definitely let them know how happy I was that they were reaching out for help. But yeah, we just had some good deep talks, but they were feeling really bad. Like that's the most like depressed I had ever seen them. 'Cause I can't imagine what that come down's like. I have a come down from just having like a nice hangout with friends. I'm like, oh, I got a little fun hangover from that. But Riley went full steam ahead with a lot of things. But anyway, so I'm at this Walgreens again, and that day was really good. And that's like the one thing I'm really furious about, is there was not, in a society that cared about people with addiction and the people that use drugs, and people with mental illness, like that would have been a place where there was more of a chain of custody of like giving them resources and being able to figure out more what's going on. But Riley left early, and they said it was kind of because they felt like there were people who needed it more because they had a bed, they had a place to stay. And I'm sure part of it, maybe, I don't know like how long it was after the detox that they started using again, and maybe there were periods where they weren't using. And but anyway, there should have been a better, like, if we had a more robust health system and mental health system and addiction system, that would have been a place where Riley would have gotten a lot better care and maybe been able to be connected to resources. But the truth of the matter is those resources, like, the ones that do exist are stretched to infinity, and like the wonderful people who like do care and want to bring help still have to operate within these systems and lack of funding and lack of support. So yeah, that that's where a lot of my fury with the system is, besides like the more general things and kind of things about society that like didn't fit Riley and kind of let them down, and all those different things. But that was one place where like when someone comes to ask for help from the public good, from whatever support systems there are, I wish there were just more support and more connecting with getting treatment and the options for treatment. But like as it is, this detox center is basically just beds to sober up and to have some medical support. And who knows, maybe Riley just didn't want to be in there anymore, so they were able just to like leave, and that's what they did. And it was kind of freaky because I think they were going to be there for 5 days, and I picked them up like 2 days later. But they had done that before with other mental health stuff. Like they were brilliant, and they also were like a psychology major, and they could mask really well and knew what to say to get out of psychiatric holds. And so it's not surprising, but and also just the fact that they felt guilty that there were people probably like fentanyl, heroin addicts that are coming off of like probably way worse, more physical withdrawals than whatever they were experiencing. And Riley knew that this is like a bed that they have. Like a lot of these people probably don't have homes, and Riley had a place to sleep. So it was probably, even if they still really were intentional and wanted to pursue treatment and wanted to get things right with their mental health and their drug use, like I think partially also maybe if they wanted to do that, they probably had some overconfidence in their ability to just keep it all to themselves and manage it. So that's really hard. I didn't mean to talk that long about Riley's drugs. But the funny thing is, I'm at this Walgreens, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of people who are like on drugs or drug users that come in here and like get different things. Pharmacies are weird. Pharmacies are always a weird vibe. But because I was looking at this cold medicine, where I was like looking at all the cold medicines to see which ones had the ingredient, and I'm just like tired after work, I was probably looking kind of sketchy. Like I spent so long in the cold medicine aisle, and it's the one like the cashier was looking right at, and I was like picking up different bottles and reading so much. And for me, it's because I'm literally looking up like chemical ingredients because I don't want to take something that's not like actually doing that much. But I think it looked kind of sketchy, so when I bought it, I got like he wanted to check my ID. And so I think he kind of clocked me as like a little sketchy, maybe a little druggy. So that was interesting, and I just found it really, really quite something that happened at this place where I went with Riley, and the way it concerned and connected with their attempts at dealing with their drug use. But yeah, tragic and funny, but I was like kind of feeling weird walking out, and I got in the car and I just started laughing. Like, oh my gosh. Ugh. See ya.